What happens when your token deck is actually a hardlock prison deck in disguise? That's what we're going to find out today. So here is our token prison surprise deck for Pioneer, and I am pretty excited for this one for a couple of different reasons. So we are a Caretaker's Talent deck. I'm sure you know this one from Standard, and honestly, speaking of Standard, if you start looking at our deck list, it looks a lot like a Standard tokens deck, at least starting out. We have Caretaker's Talent as our card advantage engine, Fountain Port, Carrot Cake, Pisa make tokens, Sunfall, a Wrath that makes tokens, but then because we're playing in Pioneer, we have some huge upgrades as well. Fable the Mirror Breaker makes tokens, and is just like a ridiculously busted value card. Wandering Emperor makes tokens, really strong removal Planeswalker. So if you sat down to a game of Magic and you saw someone playing these cards, you'd probably feel like you had a pretty good idea what they were trying to do. They're a token deck, right? Like a token control deck. They're gonna grind out value, make some tokens, draw a bunch of cards, eventually beat you in the late game. So that's what you would think this deck was trying to do. But really, it's not. Actually, we are a hardlock prison deck with High Noon and Possibility Storm. So High Noon, 2-mana chat makes it so each player can't cast more than one spell each turn, and we can pay 5, sack it for 5 damage. Really though, we mostly want it on the battlefield. And then Possibility Storm, in that big wall of text, how it actually works is, whenever a player casts a spell from their hand, that spell goes to exile, but then you reveal cards from your library until you hit another card of the same type. So if you cast an artifact, you find an artifact, a creature, you find a creature, and you get to cast that spell without paying its mana cost. But what that really means is whenever you cast a spell, you actually cast a second spell instead. But High Noon says each player can't cast more than one spell in each turn. So these two cards together mean that no one can resolve a spell for the rest of the game. It is a hard lock of casting spells, which means all we need to do is make sure the board's at parity when we play this, and we'll win the game because we have Fountain Port in our deck. So even though we can't cast spells, we can still make our land drops. We'll find a Fountain Port, we'll make a fish. That one fish can go the distance, attacking for one like 20 times to kill our opponent. And that's the real plan of the deck. The token stuff, sure, we might win like a token deck, but really it's kind of a juke out where we're gonna look like a token deck, but actually we're using the token synergies to find these lock pieces to lock our opponent out of the game altogether. Plus, High Noon is actually just kind of in a good place because Art Like Phoenix, since the bannings, is the top deck in the format and you need to cast 3 spells, so it's kind of like we get to play this hate card for the best deck in the meta in our main deck because of this lock. Otherwise, we get some removal. Our mana base, pretty out there actually, so Fountain Port for tokens, Castle Ardenvale, Soken's for tokens, Sunken Citadel to activate our Fountain Ports on the cheap, a Ganjos, a bunch of dual lands, some Field of Ruins in the sideboard, a bunch of graveyard hate, temporary lockdown, another Biza for aggro, Elspeth's Sun's Nemesis is another grindy value card, Sunspine Links to deal with X with a lot of non-basics, Chandra to deal with control, and that is Token Prison Surprise for Pioneer. That's our deck for today. Let's jump into some games and see how good is Possibility Storm block with High Noon in a token shell in Pioneer. How many arena opponents can we catch by surprise? Let's find out. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll be back in a bit for the wrap up. Need some Magic cards? Well, you can snag them from our sponsor, Card Kingdom, over at cardkingdom.com/mtggoldfish. All right, much ado about nothing time. We are playing some tokens in Pioneer, but really it's prison. We have found a way to make Boros tokens into a hardlock prison deck, and that's what we're doing today. So basically, we do the token stuff, we draw our cards, we play our Caretaker's Talent, but then, eventually by surprise, we just Possibility Storm lock our opponent out of the game. We'll discard the Sunfall here. Let's play a Field of Ruin. I guess we just get down Caretaker's Talent. I think what we're going to need to do is flash in a Wandering Emperor to make a dork to start attacking this Lily. We really can't let the Lily ultimate. We will discard a Fable the Mirror Breaker and a Caretaker's Talent. That is a brutal go blank. Like, the Caretaker's Talent's going to let us start drawing cards. Oh, they have Thoughtseize too. Wow. That is an insanely good turn for our opponent. And takes up Lily. All right, well, now we need to draw land. Like now. That is not a land. Well, 1, 2. So we can Castle Ardenvale away the Gaia Reach. Wow, what a good turn for our opponent. That was a Insanely good turn. Well, past the turd, so we can torch the tower the... Seriously? Also an Aclazotz? Yeah, I mean, this... We just ran into... I mean...
You know, I think you
another torch to the tower. All right. I mean, we just ran into the dream draw, I think, from the discard deck. Oh my god. So, opponent playing discard. Do we even have anything that we really want against discard? Not really. I mean, I think our deck, if we can just get things set up, it should be very good against discard. We just, we didn't have the time. That turn where our opponent had, what, discard 4 on turn 3 or something? That just not able to come back from that. Brutal. Yeah, let's just try the Elspeth run like that. The funny thing is, if our opponent was that turn when they made us discard 4, if they could only make us discard 3, I think we win that game going away, like, very easily. All right, well, I don't know if this hand is good. We have high noons for literally days. Well, I mean, let's play high noon. Let's slow things down a little bit, opponent. We really need like a Caretaker's Talent or something to start drawing cards. Castle Arden Vale. And another high noon. I mean, eventually this is going to turn into removal if we need it to. Opponent, Liliana. Gonna take it up. Alright, we will discard a March. Let's play Carrot Cake. Keep the Fountain Port. Play the Field of Ruin. Pass the turn. So we can sack the Carrot Cake to make another token to attack the Lily. We will discard a Plains. We don't have the second. We might have made a mistake there. It might have been better to Field of Ruin. To get red mana for the lock. I mean, I guess we can also just high noon a Lily. That might be the smartest. Yeah, let's just get rid of the Lily. Hit you with a rabbit. Down to 19. Opponent. Field of Ruin. And an Aclazotz, of course. Pass the turn. This Wandering Emperor might be good. We'll see. Hopefully we can use it to snipe the... Ooh, opponent. Okay. Gonna blow up the Castle Ardenvale. The downside of this is we are going to lose the Possibility Storm. Blow up the Fountain Port. Sure. So we're going to lose our lock, which is kind of unfortunate, although I don't know if we can afford to lock yet anyway. All right, opponent does their thing, goes to combat. Wow, not going to attack. That's very interesting. So now the question is, so we can Possibility Storm, but then we're locking our... Wow, opponent scoops it up. Okay. Well, sure. Run it back. Not sure why our opponent scooped there. We're just trying to figure out if we could lock him out of the game. The problem is they had the Aclazotz, right? So I think if we lock there, we're going to end up having to sack anyway. All right, we're going to try this. Yeah, there goes our Caretaker's Talent. That was a card we really wanted. We have 1,000,000 Torch the Towers, which I don't... Wow, they didn't even take the Caretaker's Talent. They must have just have more discard then. Caretaker's Talent seems like... Yeah, all right. Opponent's got double Thoughtseize. That makes sense. They can't let the Caretaker's Talent resolve. That card just straight up beats him. Well, play the Sacred Foundry. Opponent. Do we have the Liliana? Like always. Opponent. No. Tap land. And passing. Well, let's play the High Noon. And play the tap land past the turn. Opponent. Swamp. Hive of the Eye Tyrant gets in for 3. Sure. That's fine. We draw a Get Lost. Well, we will pass. Would have been nice to keep hitting our land drops, but such is life, such is life. Opponent. Castle Lockwayne. Going to fire up the Hive of the Eye Tyrant. And, yeah, you can attack. Sure. Goes attacking. Well, let's Get Lost the Hive of the Eye Tyrant. Land. More Get Lost. Okay, we will pass the turn. Man, if we could just be playing this Possibility Storm, we'd be in such great shape. Opponent waste not. Well, we do have a Get Lost that needs to get rid of that. Land. All right, there's a Plains. Well, grab this Grab this Kahira as discard fodder. Pass the turn. Opponent, Field of Ruin passes. Battlefield Forge. Well, on this board state, do we win if we Possibility Storm lock? Who's got more cards in their deck? 48, 46. I think we still do it, though. All right, Possibility Storm. Possibility Storm makes you cast 2 spells each turn. High Noon says you can't cast more than 1 spell each turn. So essentially, no one can resolve a spell anymore. Eventually, we will sack the High Noon, but this is going to buy us a bunch of time. In theory, what happens, and I don't know if it'll happen here because they have the Field of Ruin, but in theory, if we lock the game, eventually we win with Fountain Port. And if we can't win with Fountain Port, ooh, do we play the Fountain Port? Yeah, I mean, I guess we do. It is a 1-1. This 1-1, I think, can go all the way, even if they blow it up. Wow, maybe this deck's busted. Maybe this deck's busted. We will make a fish. The unbeatable fish. Can you beat a single fish? Can you beat a single fish, opponent? I believe the answer is no. The best, nope, that's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. A little Possibility Storm lesson here, and we will pass the turn. They're dead to the fish. They're dead. They had the field. No, that's also not gonna work. This is just gonna keep happening. Oh, this is the best day ever. This is the best day ever. All it takes is a fish. All it takes is a fish. Like if neither player can cast a spell, this one fish is actually just going to go the distance. Like, I think deterministically, that's all we needed was that Fountain Port to make a single fish before it died. And because we have the lock, we're guaranteed to win the game. We just attack our opponent, and then eventually, once they get to 5, we can sack the High Noon and kill him. This is going well. Let's just keep doing that. Oh, you could see our opponent. They tried it twice. They tried, in case the first time was a bug. They do it the first time, and you're like, I don't know. Maybe it's because I did it during their turn. I don't know. Something weird's going on here. Let's try it again with the Path of Peril. Nope. Possibility Storm. Well, all right. Score 1 for the fishes. Much more about nothing time. We are playing some Token Prison in Pioneer, and this hand seems fine. I mean, we got the High Noon. No Possibility Storm yet, but we got some good token stuff we can do in the meantime. And we got the Fountain Port. Let's just play this on white. Ew. Let's see what our opponent's doing over there. Green, Elvish Mystic. Okay, well, the one thing I will say... Ooh, this is interesting. So High Noon is actually pretty good, I think, against Mono Green Devotion. The question is, do we just kill the... Probably... All right. We'll kill the Elvish Mystic. And then I guess we can decide next turn. We'll see what our opponent's turn looks like. We do need to get down the High Noon. They probably can't pop off this turn, right? Let's play Fountain Port. Fountain Port Caretaker's Talent. We're gonna give it one more turn. So next turn we can High Noon plus have Get Lost up. And another Wolf Willow Haven, and Outcaster Trailblazer. Oh, it hurts. It hurts, but we're gonna take the turn off to play the High Noon, I think. And pass the turn. It would have been nice to get down the Fable, but with this Trailblazer suspended or plotted, the ability of our opponent to just like pop off is kind of high. Storm the Festival. So opponent only gets 1 spell. It's gonna be interesting to see. Okay, they find a Nykthos and a Cavalier. Do we want to get lost the Cavalier? Probably. Actually, you know what? No. I think the answer is no. All right, so opponent gets a land. So they have all the mana in the world, but they can still only cast 1 spell a turn. Another Wandering Emperor. Well, pass the turn. Opponent, what is your 1 spell for this turn? Well, let's see how bad it is. Old Growth Troll and Old Growth Troll. Opponent, combat, and attacks. Well, Wandering Emperor. Snipe the Cavalier. Let's make the token draw a card. Field of Ruin. Blow up the Nykthos. Let's slow things down. Grab a planes. Yeah, let's just pass again. We have another Wandering Emperor that we can flash in. This High Noon actually, maybe High Noon is just good. Holy Storm of the Festivals. I mean, our opponent's plowing through just by casting Infinite Storm of the Festivals, Kiora, and Nykthos. Still can't cast another spell this turn, though, so this Caretaker's talent is keeping us alive. Opponent goes attacking. Well, we have another Wandering Emperor. We will snipe your Old Growth Troll.
Now you've done it. That's tough.
No blocks. Opponent gonna untap the Old Growth Troll. Sure. We find a Carrot Cake. Huh. So what is our plan now? I guess we could Fable? Do we need to get lost is the real question. Let's play the Fable. Play a Ganjo. Actually, yeah, play a Ganjo. We need the land. Take up Wandering Emperor. I mean, I think we just let our opponent cast their spells. As long as they can only cast one a turn, we can stay in this game. We would actually love to find Possibility Storm. That would be the dream. Opponent. Uvenwald Oddity. Okay, so that's their one spell for the turn. They do get to draw with Kiora. So they make a bunch of mana, it just doesn't do anything. Oh, they're going to try to flip it? Okay, well, in that case, we will just get... Actually, so Trample Haste, yeah, we'll just let it go. We are gonna kill it, but we want to wait till they go to combat so they can't crack the maps on the Old Growth Troll here. High Noon might just be busted. Opponent, another Nykthos. Oh, they're gonna fire up the lair. Okay, sure. Sure. And untap. So the opponent's gonna make a huge lair. The thing is, we can just kill this behemoth, so we're not gonna die. What a weird game. Man, High Noon is actually just like so good. So good. We would have been dead 10 times over if we did not have the High Noon. Opponent fires it up, goes to combat. Let's see how they attack. Everything going face. So we will get lost the behemoth. And then we will just block the lair of the Hydra. Take 4. We draw a Sokenzen. Well, let's discard the Carrot Cake. And yeah, we really want the Possibility Storm. We're going to discard both. This might be too greedy, but discard. Sunfall and Carrot Cake. Well, we get to draw a card with our Goblin. So go to combat, attack Kiora, make a treasure, draw with Caretaker's talent. Another Wandering Emperor. Pretty good. Well, Wandering Emperor. Get rid of the Old Growth Troll. Let's play a Caretaker's talent and pass the turn. So we can use the treasure to Wandering Emperor if we need to. I imagine our opponent might once again be on the Storm the Festival plan. Hilariously, Storm the Festival. Hilariously, our opponent plotted this Outcaster Trailblazer, and because of the High Noon, has just never been able to unplot it. Trailblazer, Old Growth Troll. So opponent gonna draw a bunch of cards. That is a lot of card advantage. Boy, this Possibility Storm would be so sweet. Opponent gonna crack the map. Sure. Even more Storm the Festivals. Well, in that case, I think we just make a fish to draw a couple cards. Get lost. There's a Possibility Storm. Ooh, okay. So if we lock here, do we win? Field of Ruin's actually a really good draw because it can make them shuffle away this Storm the Festival. All right, so I think what we do is Field of Ruin. Use Field of Ruin to blow up the lair of the Hydra. Grab a Plains. Go to combat, attack the Kiora. Draw a couple cards. So opponent can block and kill it, that's fine. Opponent blocks, it dies. So I guess we just Sunfall? Yeah, let's just Sunfall. Pass the turn. I am like blown away. Like we haven't even assembled the full lock, but I'm just blown away by how good High Noon is. This isn't even one of the matchups where you think, oh, High Noon's gonna be great. When opponent scoops it up, we didn't even get to the lock. High Noon by itself was enough. All right, well, hopefully we draw the high noon. What do we want against this deck? So opponent, Green Devotion. Sunspine Lynx isn't great. Is Temporary Lockdown even worth it against these new builds of Green Devotion? I'm not even sure it is. Here's what a typical Green Devotion deck looks like. So it gets the elves, and then I guess like Invasion of Ixalan. Not worth. Yeah, we might actually. Rest in Peace, I guess, shuts down Flashing Back Storm the Festival. Yeah, I mean, I think we actually just run it back. I think we just run it back. Ooh, 2 Possibility Storms, no High Noons, a Carrot Cake, a Wandering Emperor. I think we got a mulligan this one. All right, that's better. This hand's actually pretty good. We will put a Sokenzan to the bottom. This is actually great, right? We have the Torch to the tower. We have the High Noon. We have 2 High Noons. Land on, I guess, just white. Pass the turn. Opponent, Lair the Hydra, and passes. Well, Battlefield Fjord, and get down the High Noon. I imagine our opponent sideboarded in some answers to the High Noon. I would be surprised if they did not. All right, they have a Pick Your Poison, sure. And a Forest. And passes. Well, let's play Fountain Port. I think we can just pass here. We can make a token with Fountain Port. They shouldn't be able to pop off too much at the moment. Opponent, Kiora. Gonna untap Lair of the Hydra. Passing. Well, let's make a fish. Are we spending our... Well, I guess we don't actually have a removal spell for that, do we? What do we do? This Kiora just gets to live? That's not great. March of Otherworldly Light, sadly, cannot hit Planeswalkers. If they want to fire a Lair of the Hydra, that is 1,000,000% good with us. Yeah, opponent thought better of it. They considered it. They did consider it. I really wanted another enchantment on the battlefield because we saw Pick Your Poison just as a buffer for the High Noon. But we might just have to spend it because there is some risk of our opponent popping off here. The other option is just pass in Fountain Port. Let's be a little risky. No, we gotta do it. If they have 2 answers in hand, then I guess they have 2 answers in hand. Play the High Noon. So everyone back down to 1 spell a turn. Gonna tap and untap. They could have like a Cavalier or something. All right, Cavalier. That is a good one. So get to land, which is Castle Garenbrig. Mill some cards. Draws a card. Passes. Wandering Emperor. We want to deal with this Kiora. We just don't really have a way to do it. I mean, I guess we could sack the High Noon, but that doesn't seem worth it. Let's just pass and see what happens. I mean, hopefully we can, like, use Wandering Emperor to snipe the Cavalier. Tyrannix Rex. All right, that is... Would be problematic. We have a... Sunfall in hand, so it's not the death of us. Let's just block with a fish. Sack it to draw. And then I think we have to just blow up this Lair of the Hydra. Because that could kill us next turn, potentially. And now we have to just Sunfall away this Tyrannus Rex. Hopefully they don't have another one. That would be scary. All right, we get to untap. Torch the tower. Well, let's Sunfall. Deal with the dorks. Sacred Foundry untapped. Go. I guess we could sack the Incubate to kill the Kiora, which I think we're gonna do. Let's bargain it. Hit the Kiora. Sack the Incubate. Ooh, can we keep it? Can we keep it? There's the Possibility Storm. Oh, I think it's too early. I think we got to go bottom. We're not stable enough to lock the game yet. Our opponent's ahead on board. Found it. Finds a Sunken Citadel, presumably. Pass it. Okay. That is still a Possibility Storm. So March, it's too much mana. Yeah, we just got to pass. So the goal is simple. Get the board stable, and then cast the Possibility Storm, and we win. Thankfully, they can't Storm the Festival yet. Opponent combat. Attacks. Well, we will Wandering Emperor.
Run away.
Snipe the Cavalier. Let's see what the follow-up is. Old Growth Troll. Can we beat a single Old Growth Troll? We draw a Fountain Port. I think the answer is maybe. So opponent's gonna play an Outcaster Trailblazer, probably. Oh no, they can play the Storm the Festival. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe. They might be able to play the Storm the Festival. So if we Possibility Storm, what happens? No one can cast spells, but they have this Trampler. Well, let's play the Fountain Port. 2, 3, 4. March of Otherworldly Light to get rid of the Old Growth Troll. And then let's make a fish. Take up the Wandering Emperor. Pass the turn. Next turn might be the turn. Maybe. If they just cast a Trailblazer, pick your poison. Oh. Alright. That's actually super bad. Wow. We're going to be one turn short. Now they get to double Trailblazer. Draw cards. Make mana. And does this let them storm the festival? Old Growth Troll. Draw 2 cards. What a turn. What a turn. We were so close to hard locking. It's actually, oh, and now our opponent's, yeah, I mean, unless we top deck a Sunfall, we just lose. I don't think we could have played the Possibility Storm because it would have, Our opponent was too far ahead. Opponent, another Old Growth Troll, draws a bunch of cards. Plays a land. I mean, we're sticking this out purely to see if we draw a Sunfall this turn. And then we are conceding. I mean, this is why we need the High Noon. Opponent gonna attack the Wandering Emperor, sure. All right, Sunfall or Scoop? Sunfall or Scoop? Deck says what? Wandering Emperor, not a Sunfall, Scoop. Man, I do not think our opponent knows how close they were to just being locked out of that game. I do not think they know. Like, they were a moment away from the disaster. The real problem there was we just never drew another enchantment. So our opponent was able, like, their answer is High Noon. That is honestly one of the worst answers, right? Because if we have a Fable of the Mirror Breaker, a Caretaker, like a talent on the battlefield, any other enchantment, then they can't actually make us sacrifice it. We just never drew another enchantment, so it made their pick your poisons work. High Noon seems almost unbeatable for the deck, though, if we can keep it on the battlefield. All right, I mean, we got the High Noon. We're going to keep it. This is actually very, very, very interesting. Wow, they have a Leyline. Okay, well, Sacred Foundry tapped. The interesting part is, do we play the High Noon, or do we wait? I think we wait. I think the plan is get lost the Leyline. Get lost the Leyline. In theory, next turn we play Fable, and then the following turn we High Noon. Opponent. Stone Brain. Well, that does change things a little bit. In that case, we need to play the High Noon now and hope that our opponent does not have an answer for it this turn. Wow, pick your poison. All right. Well, we will play a Fable of the Mirror Breaker and a Fountain Port. Hopefully our opponent just keeps not drawing lands. Wow, they're going to Stone Brain to get rid of the High Noons, I imagine. So we can play the Possibility Storm. I don't know if it's worth it, though. The Possibility Storm might be helpful for our opponent. How do they always got that pick your poison? We might just have to play another Fable and go beatdowns. Like, the good news here is our opponent kept a hand that could answer High Noon, but without the Leyline, it... What? Wandering Emperor? I am absolutely shocked. Shocked. I thought it was 100% High Noon. Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, that's fine. We don't even really care about that. We draw Torch to the Tower. We get to loot. Discard Torch to the Tower. Discard Sokenzan, I think. Draw 2. Well, there's a Caretaker's Talent. Play the Caretaker's Talent. Get in, make a treasure, draw a card. Hopefully we hit a land here. All right, Sunken Citadel is a land. Sunken Citadel on white. I think we just level this up. Double Goblin seems kind of sweet. We don't get to draw a card off of it, but I think it's worth it just to start making these treasures. Opponent scoops it up. Well, Game 3, our opponent kept a risky hand, that's for sure. But we got to see the power of High Noon. That card has blown me away. We didn't even need to assemble the full lock. Just the High Noon pretty much made our opponent can still kind of play Magic, but having, like, the way their deck works is have this huge turn where they, like, draw so many cards, cast so many things. If they have to play one spell a turn, it is much easier to deal with that deck. Well, so far so good for Token Prison. This deck's sweet. Token Prison time. Doing some pioneering today, and looks like we're on the draw. This hand, yeah, all right. And we actually have the whole lock in hand. The funny thing about this deck, ooh, okay. Let's lead on the mountain. So opponent probably is at Phoenix. One of the reasons to like this deck is, all right, opponent considers, is that High Noon is just a good card against Phoenix, period. And it seems like a good card in other matchups too. So even without the lock, the High Noon might be able to do some work. Let's play a land and play the High Noon. One spell each, opponent. Gonna be a little tricky to get back the arc lights. Just a smidge. All right, opponent gonna Brazen Borrower. So the opponent might try to triple spell to get back the arc light. As long as there's not a second arc light, it's kind of fine. We can take the beats. Just don't mill a second one. That would be so brutal. Okay, mills a land. That's fine. We can take the beats. Don't mill it. No Phoenix. No Phoenix. Okay, that's fine. So I get back the Phoenix, but we have the Torch to the tower, so we can just exile it, exile the Phoenix, and replay the High Noon. And now our opponent back to one spell a turn. I mean, we are two, but that's fine. Opponent gonna hardcast the Arclight Phoenix. Gets and hits us to 14. Well, let's just play the land and Wandering Emperor. Snipe the Phoenix.
You're just underwhelming.
Opponent, land, untapped. Arclight Phoenix. Again, gonna get the Wandering Emperor. And land, please. Get lost. Kind of hoping for a land, but all right. Oh, we could play the carrot. Yeah, let's just pass. Yeah, let's play Caretaker's Talent. We can afford to take 3 here. The upside of running out the talent is if we draw a land, we can potentially get a 2-for-1 with this Sunfall. Opponent hits us down to 11. If we don't draw land, eventually we can get lost the Phoenix if we have to. Ledger Shredder. Land. All right, another Sunfall. All right, well, pass the turn. Oh, come on, deck. Come on, deck. Runs out of Brazen Borrower. Clock increasing. Opponent combat attacks. Well, we will get lost to the Phoenix. Are we going to lose just because we cannot draw this land? We have double Sunfall in hand to put this game away. Opponent hits us to 7, but we're running out of time. If we don't find the land soon, we're just going to be too low on life. Opponent cracks the map on the Brazen Borrower, draws a land. Where are our lands? We are playing 25, so it's not like we're being greedy. Opponent, Big Lock Prankster. Come on, deck. Come on. Plays a Ledger Shredder. Oh, thank goodness. Seems like they're looking at their own. Wow. Okay, opponent lightning axes their own Ledger Shredder for some reason. Not sure the reason for that. Opponent mills. Wow, good thing they didn't have Spell Pierce. That would have been bad. Gets a lightning axe. Well, I mean, oh, opponent scoops that up. The lock was coming. The lock was coming. We were going to lock that turn. I think that counts. I think that counts as a lock, even though we didn't actually see it. But I think it counts because it was coming down literally that turn. What do we want to cut? So the Rest in Peace are great. Do we want the Flankers, I think is the question. For even more Graveyard Hate, probably. So that gives us 2 Rest in Pieces, 2 Flankers, and the High Noons as hate cards. We might have to trim a couple Carrot Cakes. Against a deck like this, I feel like Carrot Cake's kind of medium. Our opponent's creatures all fly, so these ground rabbits, like, yes, they trigger the Caretaker's Talent, which is nice, but beyond that, they don't do a ton. Maybe Biza? Do we just, yeah, let's just cut the Biza. Let's run it like that. Well, I mean, we got High Noon. I think that's good enough. High Noon or Rest in Peace, the cards we really wanted. Our opponent knows about it now, so it's a little worse probably than game one, but opponent, land, well, plains, go. We actually kind of want our opponent to just like play a Ledger Shredder or something, because resolving this High Noon would be really sweet. We know Spell Pierce exists. Our opponent could have even more counters now, I guess. Battlefield Fjorge. Do we play it into a theoretical Spell Pierce? The thing about Spell Pierce is we can pay for it in 2. Yeah, let's wait. Our opponent's not doing anything that scary. We can pay for Spell Pierce in 2 turns. Pound it. Spire Bluff Canal. An opponent passes. Let's play a Plains. And I think we just lead on the... Actually, let's just lead on... Yeah, let's lead on the Fable. See if this eats the Spell Pierce. All right, there's the Spell Pierce. Well, I'm glad we played around it. As long as we can fade this turn and it doesn't go too badly, things are going to be looking up. March of Otherworldly Light is fine. Castle Ardenvale. Yeah, we're just going to High Noon with mana to pay for a Spell Pierce. 1 spell a turn, 1 spell a turn. Where we want to be. All right, opponent has a Brazen Borrower. All right, so we got to fade another turn. Sleight of hand. I mean, there's no Phoenixes in the graveyard yet. Sleight of hand. Still no Phoenixes in the graveyard. Rest in Peace would also be nice. Would not mind a Rest in Peace. Steam Vents untapped. Strategic Planning. Can they hit some Phoenixes? No, thankfully. So opponent's just gonna have a big turn, cast a bunch of cantrips, draw some cards. All of this is relatively fine. So opponent did their big thing. We get to, but they didn't get any Phoenixes, so we get to play a Fable. Actually, do we just Caretaker's Talent? It doesn't do anything right away. All right, let's play Fable. I think we play the Fable. Play the Fable. Play the Fountain Port. Replay the High Noon. And go. Well, I mean, if our opponent wants to have the big turn, they got to deal with the High Noon again. They did just draw a ton of cards. All right, opponent Lightning Axes for their 1 spell. Torch the Tower in a land. Play a High Noon. Little redundancy, never a bad thing. And Sunken Citadel on red. Big Lock Prankster. All right, so opponent found a Treasure Cruise, which is not bad. They have a full graveyard, so it's going to draw them. Wow, they take an Opt. Interesting. So we do have to make sure we don't lose to the Hall of the Storm Giants. Prof's Eidetic Memory is good, but if you only cast 1 spell a turn, it's not that good. Found it. Passing. Well, let's get our Fable. 1, 2, 3. Caretaker's Talent? I think we just Soken'Zan. I think we'd rather just have a land. Play the Soken'Zan so we can start doing Fountain Port things, which will also draw us cards. And now we're pretty much to the see if we can find a possibility. Wow, an opponent. This deck seems busted. Okay, so the thing that's shocking me, I thought that to lock opponents out of the game, we needed High Noon and Possibility Storm, but it's looking more and more that just the High Noon, like, yeah, I'm glad we have the Possibility Storm for when we need it to just absolutely seal the deal, but just the High Noon's enough a lot of the time. All right, well, best deck in Pioneer. Can't beat the High Noon. Token Prison time. Doing some pioneering this week, and we're on the draw. Well, this hand doesn't got much prison, but it does have some tokens, which is sweet. Let's just, I guess, Battlefield Fjorge, go. Opponent Rakdos. Ember Heart Challenger. Well, that's a pretty good Torch the Tower target. Get rid of the Challenger. And, I mean, I don't know if High Noon's good in this matchup. We're going to find out. Run out the High Noon. So far, High Noon has just been an all-star in, like, every matchup that we play. It's just like, it's just like a ridiculous bomb. Whether or not it is actually that good against Rakdos Aggro or whatever our opponent is, that's another question. Opponent passes. We can only cast 1 spell. Let's Soken'Zan and Carrot Cake. Make a token, draw a card, keep the land. and pass the turn. So we sack the carrot cake to draw another card. Opponent. Jingatha time, eh? Well, let's sack the carrot cake. We can always kill it with a high noon if we have to, or perhaps a get lost. That might just be easier. So draw the get lost. Let's play a land. Let's think about this. How do we want to do it? So we can level up the caretaker's talent. Let's 1 and 2. I think we deal with the Den of the Bugbear. So let's blow up the Den of the Bugbear. We want to leave ourselves in a position where if we top deck Possibility Storm, we just win. And then we can Caretaker's Talent, copy a rabbit, draw a card. And then I think we just stop on our opponent's upkeep and get lost Jingatha. Gotta do it during our opponent's turn because we can only cast an opponent. Scoobs it up. Is High Noon just secretly the best card in Pioneer? Is High Noon secretly just the best card in the format? It's kind of feeling that way. I think maybe, so they gotta be a prowess deck, right? Like Rakdos aggro. I'm curious what our opponent's hand was. They had like 5 cards in hand. They just weren't casting them. They spent their entire game putting Jingatha in hand and playing it. Removal? Maybe a bunch of removal, I guess, would make sense. It wouldn't have been discard or they would have cast it. Well, let's bring in a couple of temporary lockdowns. Man, you know what? Let's go 3 temporary lockdowns. 3 temporary lockdowns, and we'll go down 1 Sunfall. Sadly, 1 Possibility Storm. Maybe 1 Wandering Emperor and a Carrot Cake? Let's try it like that. We'll say we just didn't see much of our opponent's deck. We're basically going off the Emberwild Challenger and assuming that means it's some sort of like aggro prowessy style deck. Hopefully we're right. We'll see. Yeah, all right. I mean, this hand's fine. Opponent. Monasteries. Okay, so I think we guessed relatively well. Land out like go. All right. Well, we want all 4 temporary lockdowns next time if we don't win this one. Down to 16. Opponent did keep a 1-lander, though, which means we might have a little more time than it looks to find some answers. For 1? All right, we'll take 1. And another Saga. Well, I think we might have to start killing Sagas. Yeah, let's kill the one that's about to flip. Yeah, I think we just get down the Fable here. We need to be able to start digging to find a temporary lockdown, or even a Sunfall would be good. Found it, combat attacks. We're gonna take it. Kill us if you can. If you can 14 us, then good on you. Monstrous Rage. Well, all right. Maybe I wasn't being serious, opponent. I didn't really want you to kill us. Well, blocking wouldn't have done anything anyway, really, because of trample. Opponent hits us. We draw a Possibility Storm. Well, discard a Citadel. Discard a Citadel. Well, oh boy, there's the lock. High Noon and the Citadel. Well, go to combat. Get in with the Goblin. Hit you. Battlefield Forge. And a High Noon. And pass the turn. I mean, this is the turn. This is the turn. If we can survive this turn, we can lock with Possibility Storm next turn and hopefully win. Opponent. Combat. Attacks. Monstrous Rage. Yeah, let's get lost it. Pay the 1. Oh, this does have trample, which is awkward. Heartfire Hero on top. I mean, I think we still go for the lock unless we top deck something. Castle Ardenvale. So we flip. 1. Yeah, let's just run it out. This does have trample, though. They can crack these maps. Actually, can we run it out? Huh. Now I'm not sure if we can run it out. So if we run it out, yeah, I think we do. Run out the Possibility Storm. Play the Sacred Foundry tapped. Ideally, we just want to double block and kill this Swift Spear. The problem is the maps could grow it big enough that that doesn't work. If it didn't have trample, it would be super easy because we could just chump it. Let's see if our opponent knows how this works or if they try to cast a spell. Oh, opponent. Okay, gonna learn about the lock. Yeah, possibility storm, sure. It still triggers prowess. Come on. Ooh, Calicel Sword. Are we going to die through the lock? Quite possibly. Down to 4. We draw land, not especially helpful. Oh no, are we gonna lock and still die? Sacred Foundry. Yeah, I mean, I think we just have to do this. It feels horrible, because now our lock's gone, and now we're just full on chaos mode. Although, hilariously... Okay, claim. Gonna spin into... a claim. Alright, so opponent gets a Swift Spear. Ancestral Anger. Gonna spin into... Ancestral Anger. Okay. Oh, wait! That grows it to 4 power? Oh, come on now. Come on now. Okay. Well, we know what our opponent's doing now after game 1 where they did nothing. So we definitely want every temporary lockdown, all the Bizas. Even after all that, we were still close, because what we could have done if we had lived is get the Kahira and cast it to get the Biza with Possibility Storm. Didn't work out that way in the end, but feeling pretty good. I feel like we have a good setup for this matchup, and we're going to be on the play, which I think really changes the equation here. I think being on the play is going to make this matchup a ton easier. All right, here we go. Game 3 on the play, Token Prison. That was so awkward because we actually had the full lock. We had the lock on the battlefield. But, I mean, I guess you can see that's one of the downsides of the lock, right? Like, we need the lock, but we also... Man, all these colorless lands. We need the lock, but we also need to be able to deal with the battlefield enough that we're stable. Like, the lock without being stable doesn't really do anything. Opponent gonna start on the Saga. This hand does need a land. Or many. Alright, Sunken Citadel works. Sadly, I think we gotta put it on white. I mean, I guess we can get red with the Field of Ruin. Opponent, land, and Slick Shot, show off. Down to 17. Oh, there's a Biza. Well, yeah, I mean, I think we just temporary lockdown. A little bit earlier than we wanted to, but Slick Shot's pretty scary. We're going to take a lot of damage next turn. Well, now if we can draw in for the Biza, found it. Wow, got to run out the Calicel Sword. That's when you know things are not going exactly the way you want. How bad can it possibly... You know what? Let's just play Caretaker's Talent. If our opponent can somehow kill us with just a Calicel Sword this turn, we will accept our loss. All right, they find a land. And Ancestral Anger draws a card. And Titan Strength. All right, opponent. Opponent's firing it off. Gets in for 6. Are we going more? Are we going more? Monstrous Rage. All right, opponent. No fear. We draw a High Noon. Missing these land drops is kind of painful. Let's play Carrot Cake. Draw a card. Keep the plains. Finally hit our land drop, play the plains, and pass the turn. The awkward part of this is we might have to pitch the High Noon to the March. Opponent, Heartfire Hero. Yeah, this hurts, but we gotta do it. If we want to be greedy, we could exile the roll and chump, and not pitch the High Noon. Yeah, I think we gotta do it. So X2, exile the High Noon. Exile the Cell Sword. Opponent, grab Jagatha. So we're at 8. Do we need to Biza? Let's do it this way. Let's copy the rabbit. Draw an opponent scoops it up. Well, okay. Apparently we can be aggro too. This deck actually just seems really good. Like oddly effective. Looks like we're gonna be on the draw for game number 1 here. And let's see what this hand looks like. I mean, we do need to hit another land, but I like this hand. Hello, opponent. Hello. Oh, man, are you the discard deck? Ugh, okay. We really wanted that Caretaker's Talent. If our opponents actually waste not, we really want the Caretaker's Talent to draw some cards. I imagine, all right, wow, they take Torch the Tower. Okay. Well, land on white. I was not expecting that. Hitting land is good. Maybe they're not the discard deck. Or maybe they just have so much discard they can take the torch. Why the torch, though? What are they trying to resolve? Oh. Well, they're definitely not the discard deck. I mean, let's start doing the thing. Play the mountain, and Hanoon, Hanoon. One spell a turn for everyone. What spell would you like to cast this turn? Choose wisely, Quintorius. Opponent, Razor Verge Thega, and Sentinels of the Nameless City. Sure. Well, let's play the land, and I think we just Caretaker's Talent here. This sets us up best for the future, where next turn we can Fable and then copy the token if we want to. Found it. Gets in. Does a little mapping. And Thought Seizes. Okay, I mean, that doesn't really matter. We have I mean, it matters, but we have so many ways to make tokens that a single Thought Seize is not going to ruin our day here. Actually, Carrot Cake might be better, as weird as that sounds. Because we can Carrot Cake and then we can crack Carrot Cake during our opponent's turn to draw 2 cards. Somehow, Carrot Cake, ooh, oh, it's Grease Fang. Oh, okay. That is frightening. Another Fable. Well, let's Carrot Cake, draw a card. Yeah, let's go bottom. We have enough lands for now. To the bottom, draw a card. Pass the turn. Well, only being able to cast 1 spell a turn, it's going to be hard for our opponent to combo kill us by surprise. There's the Grease Fang. Ooh, all right. I mean, getting back Azeka's Chariot's still pretty bad. It is still pretty bad. Opponent Azeka's Chariot, gonna make some cats. We might be being out-tokened now. Have we finally found a matchup where High Noon is bad? So far, High Noon has been just absurd in pretty much every matchup. Oh, now I kind of regret not keeping the land, but it would have been tapped. Well, let's crack this, make a rabbit. Torch the tower, does that even matter? So it can kill the Grease Fang, but does killing Grease Fang even do anything at this point? Yeah, I think we gotta go bottom. I think we need something higher impact than Torch the Tower here. We're gonna need a Sunfall. We're gonna need a Sunfall, and we're gonna need it relatively soon. Opponent gonna go attacking. We will chump. We drop to 60. They pick up the Chariot. We draw Fable. Well, play the Fable. Play Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Draw a card. Okay, Get Lost is something. That is something. Opponent untaps. I mean, that can be our 1 spell for the turn. It can kill the Grease Fang. It can kill the Sentinel. Opponent's going to cast Rafine's Informant. So they're going to try... This is going to work out pretty well for us. They're going to discard the Chariot to try to reanimate it. And then we can kill the Grease Fang and not... Oh my god, there's a Parhelion. Okay, well, let's see, we gotta stop that, right? All right, so go to combat. Oh. Yeah, that's not the right timing for that, is it? Yes, okay. Mistakes may have been made. Yeah, okay, we had to kill a pre-combat. We didn't want to win that game anyway. So we're gonna bring in Rest in Peace. We're gonna bring in Cutzel's Flanker. We'll go down Ibiza. We'll go down Wandering Emperor. A Torch the Tower, and a Carrot Cake, and run out like that. All right, so, I mean, we were in a pretty bad spot anyway, so we probably would have lost that game regardless. However, yeah, definitely needed to kill that before the trigger went on the stack. All right, we get to play first. This is a very medium hand, medium to the max. Also, not a great hand, but we'll keep it. Carrot Cake to the bottom. Actually, maybe we put High Noon to the bottom. This feels like not a good High Noon matchup. The lock would still be, like, the lock is going to be good against every deck, like, if we can get it set up. But I think against Grease Fang, I'm not sure High Noon does enough for us to actually keep it in our opener if we have to mulligan opponent land and pass this. Well, play the land and do a little Carrot Caking, make a rabbit, and actually, we can keep Torch the Tower. Torch the Tower answers Grease Fang before it puts the trigger on the stack even. Found it, land, and vases. Well, play the land. Get in with the rabbit. Is there a way we die here if we tap out? I want to Fable the Mirror Breaker. Is Crash Grab a concern? It is an instant. There is a world where they cash grab. mill Parhelion, or Azeka's Chariot or whatever. All right, they get back a temporary lockdown, which is not that good against us. It's fine, but we're playing it in our sideboard. It's not that good against us. Found it. Overgrown 2-man, Greasefang. Well, so I think we just torch the tower, bargain, sack the carrot cake, make a rabbit and scry. Well, we'll keep Caretaker's talent. All right, so problem 1 dealt with. Greasefang in exile. We get to untap. Play the land. This is still a tough position. Another Greasefang would really be bad. Let's get in with the dorks. I want to play Caretaker's talent and start drawing cards. But if they get back that Azeka's Chariot, it's so bad. Or play the Fable, play something. I mean, worst case is what? They get an Azeka's Chariot? You know what? Let's Caretaker's talent. I think the worst case, since there's no Parhelion in the graveyard, the worst case of Azeka's Chariot is still bad, but it's not necessarily we lose the game on the spot bad. All right, temporary lockdown, sure. That is perfectly fine. We would like to draw land here. Land would be nice. All right, Carrot Cake works. We can play Carrot. It's not as good as a land, but we play the Carrot Cake to draw a card. Sunfall's gonna go bottom. Wandering Emperor. I mean, so we have a Get Lost, so we have another Greasefang answer. Opponent's just going to play an Azeka's Chariot. Sure. Well, I mean, we can sack the Carrot Cake. High Noon. Yeah, we need lands. We really need to hit our lands. High Noon's got to go bottom, as cool as it is. All right, there's a land finally, and a Caretaker's talent. Well, Sacred Foundry, untapped. The Fable of the Mirror Breaker. And now we can just get lost. Ooh, and a Sunfall. So we can get lost to get rid of the Azeka's Chariot if our opponent crews it. If they Thoughtseize first, they could get around it, I guess. Can't technically target it till it's screwed. Opponent, yep, there's Azeka's Chariot. Well, let's kill the Azeka's Chariot. Ooh, opponent passes. Let's discard Sunfall. Land? Yeah, let's go Sunfall land. Pass Ability Storm, Fable the Mirror Breaker. Well, go to combat. Get in with the Goblin. Make a treasure, draw a card. Caretaker's talent's kind of ridiculous. All right, we hit our land drop anyway, which is fine. Well, now we actually want to find a High Noon. Do we play Possibility Storm for fun? Seems risky. Let's just play another Caretaker's talent. And we can leave up the Cutzel's Flanker. Ooh, all right, opponent take Numa. Gets back the Greasefang. I mean, this Cutzel's Flanker still has a safe, though. Like, if they try to do Greasefang things, we can just nuke the graveyard. And that should be enough. Next turn, we might actually play Possibility Storm. All right, there's a Greasefang. Sure. This time, we can actually let them go to combat and then play the Flanker. All right, opponent, Greasefang targets the Chariot. Well, let's Cutzel's Flanker. Exile the graveyard. Opponent's gonna go attacking. Well, let's kill things. We might as well. I think we win. I mean, assuming we can stop the reanimation plan, I think we win the late game. Like, if this game just continues fairly, opponent has a Bank Buster. Sunken Citadel. And let's just copy the Goblin here. Draw a couple cards. Well, let's play Fable. 1, 2, 3. You know what? We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. Let's play Possibility Storm. Let's play Possibility Storm and see a little chaos. We need a little chaos in our Pioneer. All right. I don't know. What, anything is possible at this point. I honestly don't know if playing Possibility Storm is good for us or bad for us, but it is going to be interesting. Sometimes you, okay. Oh my God. Azeka's Chariot. Spin to another artifact, which is Sky Sovereign. Okay. So I guess that's like kind of an upgrade for our opponent to kill the reflections of Kiki Jiki. The upside of doing this, or maybe the downside, is we could spin into the High Noon, although we can always sack the High Noon. Opponent crews, attacks, we will take it down to 16. And gonna crack the map. Finds the Thoughtseize, which cheap spells are kind of just good with Possibility Storm because you can spin into more expensive spells. Opponent passes, we draw land. Let's play a Fable and see what happens. Spin it to win it into another enchantment, which will be... Okay, rest in peace. Would have been more helpful earlier, but get in with the goblins. Make a treasure, draw some cards. Well, we found every character. There's the High Noon. Hit ya down to 7. Play a land. Well, let's play the High Noon, spin it to win it, into a High Noon. So now no one can cast spells. Yeah, let's pass the turn. Spells are locked. We can sack the High Noon, which we probably will. All right, opponent's gonna crew the Sky Sovereign. Well, let's kill this guy. So spells are back online, but still Possibility Stormed. All right, sorcery. Thoughtseize into what? Witherbloom Command. Ooh, that can actually blow up the Rest in Peace. All right, blows up the Rest in Peace. I mean, opponents hasn't given up yet. Gonna crack the map. I mean, I think we're doing... Ooh, Grizzly Salvage. I mean, you never know because of Possibility Storm. Since we only have Wandering Emperor as our Planeswalker, we do know that it will spin into... Wait. 1, 2, 3... Do we just win? What if we double... We could just double level. Then we're, like, tapped out if they... All they need is a Fatal Push or something. All right, let's just go to combat and attack for 4. We're not going to bother trying to level up, at least yet. Get in, draw a couple cards. Hit ya. This also gets our opponent low enough that if we spin into High Noon, we should be able to win. Well, Fable the Mirror Breaker. Spin it to win it. Spin it to win it. Show us a High Noon? Oh god, another Possibility Storm. Okay. Caretaker's Talent? Double Possibility Storm? Into, oh my god, even more Possibility Storms. Okay. And a Rest in Peace. And exile the graveyards again. Oh, double Possibility Storm is kind of crazy. What is even happening in this game? So now every spell that's cast is tripled into a spell of the same type. Oh wait, that's actually insane with Wandering Emperor, isn't it? Oh, that's actually really good because we activated it at instant speed. So before we Legend Rule, we can activate it. Oh, that's actually so funny. About it. Azika's Chariot. Well, let's see what happens. Opponent's gonna get a bunch of artifacts here. Possibility Storm 1 exiles Azika's Chariot into a Parhelion. All right, yeah. Possibility Storm number 2 exiles into an Azika's Chariot, and then number 3. So there's some cats. Number 3 spins into another Azika's Chariot. Well, sure. And that's a lot of cats. I mean, this is going to come down to us finding a High Noon, I think. Opponent combat. Attacks. All right, let's do the cool thing. So we're going to go full control. We're going to cast a Wandering Emperor. So we should get all of our Wandering Emperors. Possibility Storm number 1. So good. Exiles Wandering Emperor. Finds another one. We cast it. Before the next Possibility Storm resolves, we exile the Greasefang. Okay, Possibility Storm number 2, gonna find us another Wandering Emperor. We will cast this one. We will Legend Rule. Oh, this is actually hilarious. And then we can make a token real quick.
We must protect the people.
Land and torch the tower. And then finally, Wandering Emperor. Keep the new one. Make a token. And... That was pretty sweet. That was pretty sweet. Opponent passes. We untap. Field of Ruin. Well, I think first off, we play Torch the Tower and see what happens. Torch the Tower. Triple Possibility Storm. Opponent GG's us. Man, why do we not just play Possibility Storm more often? It's just super fun. What a wild game. Like, the things that happen when there's a Possibility Storm on the battlefield are just things that don't usually happen in a game of Pioneer. I can see bringing the Torch to the Tower. Well, I kind of want to keep a Biza. Yeah, let's run it back. Run it back. The fun thing about this deck is we've seen like Possibility Storm and High Noon. Both, oh boy, okay. Well, we're going to have to find a way to not die to our opponent killing us fairly, but as far as hate cards, double rest in peace is about as much as we can realistically hope for in this matchup. About it. Can see, ooh, in the possible, wow, we have the whole lock, okay. Well, we're like a wrath away from this just being the dream. Opponent. Razorverge so they get passes. Well, land and rest in peace. We're not going to make it easy on you, Quintorius. You're going to have to work for it. Well, that makes their cachet grab a little bit worse, I think. About it. Considering the possibilities, we're going to besiege you it. I'm kind of cool with that. Oh, Witherbloom command. Witherbloom command. Well, bad news, opponent. We drew 2 of them. Let's do it again. Rest in peace number 2. Do you have another Witherbloom command? Greasefang. Sure. Well, play Battlefield Forge. Play High... I mean, I think we're in set up the lock mode. Play the High Noon. We might be able to just lock the game here. We dropped to 14. We'll see if our opponent can play another threat. Oh, they can't. Grizzly Salvage. That should do it. That should do it. I think that should... Ooh, they can take the Beseiju. Wow, that gives them an out. That actually gives them an out. But they're going to want to blow up the rest in peace. Well, let's kill the Greasefang. See if this gets them to kill the rest in peace in response. No. All right. Well, now the question is, do we even do it? Like, we run out the Possibility Storm, but then our opponent will know about the lock and break it up. They're probably going to have to kill the rest in peace. So I think we just play a Ganjo. And play Biza. Yeah, we gotta wait until our opponent spends that Beseiju on the rest in peace, and then hopefully we Possibility Storm for the win. So we draw a card, get a 4/5, and opponent, gonna blow up the rest in peace, of course. All right, well, that's what we needed to happen. We needed to wait that turn to get rid of the Beseiju, but now the lock should be good to go for next turn. Well, I mean, they could go like, they'd have to high roll, but ooh, opponent just passes. Well, let's see if they have an answer. Possibility Storm? That will be the game. If this, I mean, I guess another Beseiju in theory could get out of it, but how many can they possibly be playing? Okay, better Triumph the Biza, sure. All right, lock assembled. I mean, we still win, right? We still win. We just win with... We win with the fish, the one fish, 21 turn clock. So opponent, would you like to, we also have the Sokenzan. Well, let's play a Field of Ruin. Opponent untaps. I imagine they scoop once we make a fish, but we'll see. Make a fish. And I guess we Field of Ruin for fun. I don't know how many basics they play. Basic check? Can we get a strip mine here in Pioneer? Maybe. They gotta have at least one more. We'll grab a Plains. All right, opponent has a forest. Sure. Well, let's Sokenzan. And opponent with the GG, and that is Token Prison at its finest. Little mistake in game 1, but thankfully the deck's so good. Doesn't even matter. Overcomes the mistake, keep ranking up, and I kind of love this. This might be my new favorite Pioneer deck. I kind of want to just keep playing this deck. I'm just going to keep playing it until Dustmorn takes over. Well, if you like winning and locking people out of the game, and you're like, you know what? Let's do the wrap-up right now. Let's do the wrap-up right now in Arena. So how'd we do with tokens? So we went 6-1. The one loss was a rematch against Mono Green Devotion. So that was the one loss. 86% win rate. Obviously, small sample size, but still, the deck we played outside of playing Mono Green twice. We played a pretty good match, mismatch, a pretty good mix of the best decks in the format. We played Mono Green. Actually, no, one of those wins. Okay, so really it's more like 5-1 because one of them was an opponent who just didn't show up and like conceded turn 0. But we beat Mono Black. We beat Izzet. We beat Rakdos Aggro. We beat Greasefang. We beat the Izzet deck was Phoenix. So all around we played a pretty good mix of the best decks. And outside of splitting with the Mono Green Devotion deck, we kind of crushed it. And I'll say this deck what really impressed me, so the deck on level 1, here, there's a bunch of things to like about this deck. One thing to like about this deck is if you're a standard player and you have the standard token deck, you can easily also build a Pioneer deck out of it because the base of this deck is kind of the standard token deck, right? Of Carrot Cake and Caretaker's Talent and Biza and Sunfall and Get Lost. So you can use your standard cards, and that's how I want Pioneer to be. I want Pioneer to be this format where we can take and play our rotated standard cards. And I think Pioneer's starting to sort of maybe, in some ways, at least with this deck, live up to that. So that's really exciting because we don't really have another format like that. Modern is now the Modern Horizons 3 format, Legacy and Vintage, the old card format. We need a format, especially with Wizards' big push towards, we want you to buy paper standard cards. We want paper standard to be a thing again. One of the things they miss, from Wizards' perspective, they recognized that rotation's a problem. People don't really like their cards being unable to be played and becoming illegal. I disagree with that. I want more rotations, but from Wizards' perspective, they have identified that as an issue. I think there's another issue to that, though, which is if you want people to buy these standard cards, what do they do with those cards after standard? And there's not really another format outside of Pioneer right now where you can realistically play these cards. So all this to say, pretty sweet to see a deck that has that standard core actually working in Pioneer. The thing I love about the deck most, though, is this deck just gets people by surprise. Like, it starts off looking like we're playing this janky token control deck in Pioneer for some reason. Like, someone accidentally queued into Pioneer with their standard deck, but then we just get them with High Noon and Possibility Storm, and the lock was actually ridiculously effective. So we only had 2 or 3 times where we actually assembled the full no one can cast a spell lock. Having High Noon be that lock piece rather than like Rule of Law or something is so big because we can actually get it off the battlefield if we need to, but we only actually had to fully assemble the lock a few times. Every time we did, well, no, actually we assembled it once and had to sack High Noon and ended up losing, but almost every time we did, we ended up winning the game. So the lock was very powerful. The more exciting part was just how good High Noon was against a lot of the best decks in the format. We saw Is It Phoenix really struggle to play through a High Noon. We saw Mono Green Devotion really struggle to play through a High Noon. So it's not a case where we're playing like 2 really bad cards in our token deck because we might assemble this combo. High Noon seemed like a good card, and then we also get to play Possibility Storm to assemble the combo. And even Possibility Storm, I don't want to go as far as saying it's a good card on its own because it's actually just straight up chaos, but it is a really fun card on its own. It just heavy on the battlefield leads to really interesting games. So I gotta say, all around, I love this deck. It won a decent amount. It was really funny. It played really well. So if you're looking for something different to try in Explore or in Pioneer, want to make more use of your standard cards if you're a Boros token player, would definitely recommend it. The lock is hilarious. The deck's actually pretty good. So that is Token Prison for Pioneer. That's been our deck for today. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon.